in your life. And I want to talk about three very different people, three completely unique different people. The theme for this year, of course, is do something. Several months ago, Jason called and said, hey, this is the direction we're going to go. And he said, I just want you to know so you can kind of start thinking ahead. So I started kind of have a notepad, and I started writing down some different thoughts, some different ideals, maybe some different things that I can teach on. And I'm the type of person, I like something that I can see, that I can kind of work around. So I love quotes, and I started to try to find quotes. I got on Pinterest, I got on Google, I got on everything that you can imagine. And me and Marley, my wife, we were kind of visiting back and forth. And I said, hey, I really need something. And I would say something. She said, that's the worst. Don't use that. And I would come up with something else, and she said, are you even getting better at any of these things? Like, are you trying? And I'll never forget, it was about 2 weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the morning. That doesn't really make sense. I woke up in the morning, jumped up out of bed, I ran into the kitchen. I was like, where's the pen? Where's the pen? Where's the pen? I got the pen, and I wrote this down. And here's what I want to share with you. The thing for this year is do something. I didn't get to talk a lot about that over the past, but we not only want you to do something, but we want you to do the right thing. And here's what I've learned. If you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. Listen to me. We want you to do the right thing, and we want you to know this. It's who you are connected to. It's who you're living for that will determine what you do. Man, I thought everybody would stand up and applaud like, whoo, that's some good stuff. Let me say, there we go. I like that. All right, split the difference. That was a little bit on the top. Just split the difference. Listen to me. It's who you are connected to. It's who you are living for. Well, that will determine what you do. If you want to turn there, if you have your Bibles, Romans chapter 8. Verse 5. Romans chapter 8, verse 5. I want us to look at a couple different things here. We're going to be in a couple different places in Scripture. If you didn't bring your Bible, shame on you. Just steal the person next to you. They'll be fine. Just say it in Jesus' name. If you didn't have it, look on the screen. Romans chapter 8, verse 5. Here's what the Bible says. I want you to look at a couple of these different statements. Listen to this. Romans 8, verse 5. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on things of the flesh. Listen to me. If you live according to the flesh, and your mind is on the flesh, you're going to do things of the flesh. That makes sense? Like, we can work with that. But listen to this next verse. But those who live according to the Spirit set their minds on things of the Spirit. In other words, hear me tonight. If you are living according to the Spirit, and your mind is on the Spirit, you're going to do things of the Spirit. Tonight, I want us to see three different people tonight who were living. They were connected to their flesh. So because they were connected to their flesh, because they were living for their flesh, they did things of the flesh. But there's a moment in all of their lives where they meet Christ. They have an encounter with Christ. And this encounter changes everything about them. And then we're going to see kind of some of their actions. And again, we're asking this question. Who are you connected to? Who are you living for as we walk through this? If you have Bibles, we're going to look at a guy by the name of Zacchaeus, Luke chapter 19, verse 1. Now, almost all of us know who Zacchaeus is, only by his song. And we are going to sing that song tonight. If you are excited as I am, I hope so. In just a minute. Luke chapter 19, verse 1. The Bible says this. He, being Jesus, entered Jericho and was passing through. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. Say Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. So Zacchaeus, he's a tax collector who kind of lived and worked in Jericho. And the Bible says that Zacchaeus was the chief tax collector. In other words, he had other people working underneath him. He's kind of the boss, but he's got other little people underneath him. And a lot of people hated tax collectors for four mainly good reasons. First, nobody likes to give money to somebody else for them to be a bully to them. And that's what this Roman government did. They held them under oppression. The other reason they never liked them is because most of these tax collectors were Jews. They were hated by the Romans. And these people, these Jews were taking up money from the other friends and countrymen. So a lot of them people are like, hey, we don't like you. The other reason they were hated so much is because all of these tax collectors, they cheated people. They'd come like, hey, $5 is the tax, but I need to make a little bit more money because I need a new fidget spinner at Daniel Springs Baptist Camp. So I'm going to add another $2 on top of that. So they would take up 7, 2 for themselves and 5 for the Roman government. Nobody likes that. And because they were kind of collecting all of this extra money, they got to live a luxurious lifestyle. They had fidget spinners everywhere. People, like they were living the life. Because of that, everybody hated them. Look at with me at verse 3. And he was seeking, listen, Nina, listen. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. Interesting second point, we're going to come back to this in just a minute. He was seeking to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd, could not, because he was of small stature. You ready for the song? Can we sing together? Sing with me. Don't mess this up. This is my solo of camp. Ready for this? Here we go. Zacchaeus was a wee little man. A wee little man was he. Climbed up in a sycamore. Whoop, back. Time up. I got excited and I wanted to listen. I should have been singing. Do it again. Zacchaeus was a wee little man. A wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior came very quick, as he looked up in the tree, and he said, Zacchaeus, you'll come down, for I'm going to your house today. Good job, church! We'll do a CD later, we'll sell them, make a little bit of profits of everything else. So listen to this next verse. The same song that you sang, just really the scriptures that come next. So he ran ahead, he climbed up into the sycamore tree to see him, for he's about to pass away when Jesus came. Well, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, you'll come down, for I'm going to go to your house today. That's not exactly what it said, but it's close. Verse 6. So he heard, Zacchaeus came down. Listen to what it says. And he received him joyfully. Zacchaeus received him joyfully. Now I want you to know, listen to me this morning, just tonight, whatever. Listen to me tonight. This is where I think some of you are. I think some of you might be able to identify with Zacchaeus. You see, God's been moving for the past several weeks before camp in your life. He's been stirring, and all of a sudden you're having all these conversations with different people about Jesus and about salvation, and you're interested in Jesus. You have questions about it. I love that fact that it says he wanted to see Jesus. Zacchaeus was interested in him. He wanted to find out about him, so he climbed up into the sycamore tree. And just as he was passing his way, I want you to know that Zacchaeus was looking for Jesus, but Jesus was looking for Zacchaeus. And I want you to know tonight, listen to me tonight, students, if you've got some questions about Jesus, and know this, he's already moving and stirred in your heart and your life. And he's looking for you. He's searching for you. He is working, and he wants you to give your heart, your life to him so he can make a difference in your life forever. So he's looking for him. They found each other. Listen to what the Bible says in verse 7. When they saw this in the crowd, they all grumbled. He was going to be the guest of a man who was a sinner. They're talking about Jesus. I can't believe Jesus would hang out with a sinner. Now here's what I want you to see. The impact, right? We saw how bad he was. He robbed for people. He stole for people. He lived luxurious lifestyle. He's living in the flesh. He's only focused on himself, all right? And then he receives him joyfully. Listen to verse 8. And Zacchaeus stood, and he said to the Lord, behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have defrauded, if I have robbed, stole anyone for anything, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come into this house, as he is also as the son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek, listen, seek and to save the lost. Listen to me. Who you are connected to, who you are living for will determine what you do. Do you see it in the life of Zacchaeus? When he was connected to flesh, living for the flesh, he lived in the flesh. But the moment he received Christ, the moment Christ came into him, everything changed. He quit living for the flesh and he started living for Christ. He said, whatever I've stole, I give back. There's a difference in his life. I want you to look with me in the book of Acts, Acts chapter 7. There's a guy by the name of Saul, later turned Paul, and if you've been to church, you know about this guy. You know his story, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on here. But Saul, he was a Jewish follower. He was known as the Pharisee. And now a lot of times we hear that word, and we automatically think bad guy. They weren't the great people, but the principle behind them, I think, was pretty good. You see, they had a passion, they had a love for the Word of God. And Saul here, man, he read the Word of God, he studied the Word of God, he believed the Word of God, and he tried to follow it absolutely perfectly. But the problem was, he didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. He didn't believe that Jesus was the Savior. He didn't believe any of that. So because of that, it impacted his life. If you would allow me to make a little bit of a jump here, I look at Saul, later turned Paul, and he was a good church kid. I mean, he knew the Word of God, inside and out. But listen, he didn't really know who Jesus was. And I want you to see what happens when he has an encounter with Christ. But first, I want you to see the bad of his life. If you have your Bibles, I want you to turn with me to Acts chapter 7, verse 54. We're going to go really fast here. I hope you can keep up. Acts chapter 7, verse 54 says, now when they heard these things, this is a guy, the name of this is called the stoning of Stephen. There's this guy, he's a Christian, he's a believer. When they heard these things, they were enraged, they ground their teeth, but he, full of the Holy Spirit, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God, and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. He said, behold, I see the heavens open, and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. And they cried out with a loud voice, and they stopped their ears, and they rushed together, and they cast him out of the city, and they stoned him. Listen to this. And the witnesses, they laid their garments at the feet of a young man named Saul. Listen to me, Saul hated Christians. But listen to this, it even gets better than that. Acts chapter 8, verse 1, the very next page in your Bibles. And Saul approved of this execution, of his execution. And there arose on that day a great persecution against the church in Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the region of Judea, Samaria, except for the apostles. Devout men buried Stephen and made great lamentation over. Verse 3. But Saul was ravaging the church. Saul hated the church. So not only does Saul hate Christians, believers, if you are a Christian here, Saul really hated you at this time. He hated the church that you go to. Saul hated all of these different things. I want you to listen to what happens in Acts chapter 9, verse 1. The Bible says this, but Saul, still breathing threats of murder against the disciples of the Lord. Acts chapter 9, verse 1. He still hated everybody. But something happens in his life. We know the story on the road to Damascus. That's weird. Acts chapter 9, verse 3. I'm talking too fast. Acts chapter 9, verse 3. I want you to see this. Now as he went on his way, he approached Damascus, and suddenly a light from heaven shone around him, and falling to the ground, he heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, who are you, Lord? And you can go back and you can follow the story of this transformation that takes place in his life. But it was in this moment, that this encounter with Christ, Paul is forever changed. Listen to me today. The things that he hated, which was church, and the things that he hated, which was Christians, the things that he hated, which was Jesus, are now all the things that Paul gives his life for. He loves these things. This man goes on to plant churches everywhere. He went on to become the author of most of the New Testament. Listen to me. Who you are connected to, who you're living for, will determine what you do. It's the power of presence. It's the power of Christ's presence in your life that will change everything you do. That's how strong his presence is. The salvation that he gives, it changes us from the inside out. It's not behavioral changes, it's a real change that happens. There's one other lady that I want you to see. John chapter 4, verse 7, we know this lady to be the woman at the well. John chapter 4, verse 7, it's the woman at the well. This is a woman from Samaria, came to draw water. I want you to notice what she does. She's coming to draw water to the heat of the day. She's hot, she's thirsty. I think she's at Daniel Springs Baptist Camp. Don't really know that for a fact, but she's hot. She's looking for some water. The canteen's closed. She's coming to the well, and Jesus comes to her. Jesus there says, hey, give me a drink. Verse 8, for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, how's that? Do you hear her attitude? Do you hear her attitude? Listen to this. Then the Samaritan said to him, how is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? In parentheses, it says, for Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. These two people, they didn't get along. They weren't best friends. They really hated each other. And then they have this little conversation that takes place. It's incredible. They're talking about husbands. But something happens in verse 25. Skip down with me to verse 25. I don't want you to miss this. The woman said to him, I know that the Messiah has come. In parentheses, he who is called the Christ. When he comes, when this Savior comes, when the Messiah comes, he will tell us all things. Verse 26, and he said to her, I who speak to you am he. Who you're asking for, you're looking at. I'm the Savior, I'm the Messiah. I'm who you are longing for. Listen what happens in verse 28, 27. As soon as he says this, I who speak to you am he. The Bible says in verse 27, just then the disciples come back, and they marvel, astonished. He was talking to a woman, but they didn't say anything. They didn't say, what do you seek, or why are you talking with her? They didn't say anything. Look, verse 28. So the woman left her water jar. The one thing she came looking for was the thing that she left. And I tell you why. Because the water that she was looking for wasn't going to really fill her up forever. But all of a sudden she was impacted by Jesus Christ, and He forever filled her. And she didn't need the water anymore. She's so blown away by this. This is an encounter with Christ. And I want you to see what she does after this. This is an incredible story. Go back and read it before you go to bed tonight. Listen to verse 28, maybe. No, let's go back to, let me say this. They went out of town, and so the woman left her water jar and went into the town and said to the people, verse 29, come. She left everything. She said, come see a man who told me everything that I did. Can this be the Christ? And they went out of the town and were coming to me. Here's what I want you to know. Some of you here tonight, listen to me. I want you to look at me. Some of you identify with her. Because did you notice she wasn't looking for Jesus? She was just thirsty. So she went to this well. But I want you to know that Jesus was looking for her. And here's what I believe tonight. There's some of you campers in this room, male and female, that you weren't looking for Jesus. You're not looking for Jesus. Your parents made you come to camp. Your youth pastor forced you to come to camp. I don't know what it might be. You weren't looking for Jesus. You came here thinking, I might find me a cute boy or a cute girl today this week. I don't know. You're not looking for Jesus, but hey, listen to me. Jesus is looking. Do you hear me tonight? Jesus is looking for you. You've never been wanted in your life, but you have a Savior that is looking for you. And He is here and He is ready to meet you. Listen to what happens in verse 39. I want you to see how everything in her life changed. The presence of Christ was so real that she was forever changed. Verse 39, the Bible says, many Samaritans from that town believed Him because of the woman's testimony. Who you are connected to, who you are living for, determines what you do. And many Samaritans in this town believed in the name of Jesus Christ. But listen to that. That's good. We celebrate. Amen. But listen to what verse 41 says. And many more believed. Jesus stayed 2 more days. And the Bible says, many more Samaritans believed in the name of Jesus. Listen. Who you are connected to, who you are living for, will determine what you do. It's the power of Christ's presence in our life that will determine what you do. Hey, look at me. Hey, y'all look at me. I'll say this, and I'm going to ask the band. I'll start making their way back up here. But I want to say this. And we're going right to our invitation. And we're going to let God move, stir, and you're going to say yes to Him with whatever He's telling you. But I want you to hear me. We've said this a lot. Who you're living for will determine what you do. Who you're living for will determine what you will do. But I want you to know, listen to me, what you do speaks volumes about who you're living for. What you do, your actions, the things that you do speaks volumes about who you're living for. Let me ask you a question. What are your actions? The things you do on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, the things you do when people are around, when nobody is around, the things that you do, who are they really saying that you're living for? Who are you living for? Can people see Christ in you and the things that you do? It's the power of Christ's presence in your life, and it changes everything. Everything. If I get you to close your eyes and bow your head. Here in just a moment, we're going to give you a chance to respond. They're going to start playing, and the altar here is going to be open. Students, I want you to know that we are pleading on your behalf. We're asking, we're believing that God is going to do a work in you. There's some of you here tonight, you are not a believer, you are not a Christian, you have never placed your faith and trust in Christ, but you are Zacchaeus tonight. And you're looking for Jesus, and tonight, listen to me now, you will find Him tonight. And some of you are more like the woman at the well, not looking for Jesus. You didn't really care about Him here lately. But just knowing that He is looking for you, He is waiting for you. And He gives life, and He gives life abundant. Tonight we are believing that God's going to do a work in your life. But maybe you're here today and you are a believer. You placed your faith and trust in Christ. You are a Christian. But you're starting to look at your actions and you're starting to realize that my actions are not pointing to Christ. And maybe, just maybe, God's stirring in your heart. And He's saying, I want you to come back to me. You've been living for your flesh, but I want you to live for me. We want to give you a time of recommitment. Students, I want you to hear me tonight. Whatever God is laying on your heart, whatever God is pressing on your heart, whatever God is calling you to do, whatever God is asking you to do, we want you to say yes to it tonight. Do you hear me? We want you to say yes to Jesus. And whatever He is calling you to do, we're going to be obedient to tonight. Do you hear me? Don't miss this opportunity. Don't wait for another night. God's calling you to give your life to Christ tonight. Give your life to Christ. God's calling you to come back to Him. Come back to Him. God's calling you to pray for somebody else. Pray for somebody else. Father, we ask in the name of Jesus that tonight you do a work here tonight that sends goosebumps up our spine. We ask that you move in ways that we have never dreamed, that we have never seen. We ask that broken relationships will be healed. We pray for people who are lost to be found. Father, we will praise you for everything you do. Father, thank you so much that you look for us, you long for us, you waited for us, and you searched for us. Father, we love you. Praise you. Your counselors are going to make their way out. Camp staffers are going to be all around the building. Students, listen to me right now. Whatever He's calling you to do, you move. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Let's stand.
It's just me, and tears just for me. Love's like a hurricane, I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. And all of a sudden, I'm aware these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are, how great your affections are for me. Know how He loves us all. Oh, how He loves us. How He loves us all. Just for me, love's like a hurricane, I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. And all of a sudden, I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are, how great your affections are for me. He loves us more.
next few minutes, we're fixing to dismiss to church group devotions. But before I cut y'all loose and send y'all that invitation, I want to emphasize something to everybody. Now, this is the end of the service, what we call an invitation. An invitation to respond to what God's speaking to you, or how He's leading you. But I want you to know that the invitation never closes. Here at camp, we've had people accept the Lord. Of course, the invitation time every evening. We've had people make decisions to follow the Lord over lunch, over breakfast. We've had people make decisions to follow the Lord while they're sitting in their bunk getting ready to go to bed. One special story I have is one camp there was boys. There was boys swim time. And pastor was up there with them, and they were swimming, and the kid popped up out of the water. He said, "You know what? I want to accept the Lord tonight. I want to get saved tonight." And that pastor in that moment made the best decision that I have ever heard in my life. He looked at that young man and he said, "Why wait until tonight? Let's do this right now." And they got up out of that pool and they sat underneath on that bench, underneath that tree. And he shared the plan of salvation, and that young man responded. He accepted the Lord as a personal Savior right then and there. So students, adults, I want us to know that no matter what's going on, the invitation is always open to respond to what the Lord's laying on your heart. So that gives us two things. One, if the Lord's putting something on your heart, you need to respond to that. That's first and foremost. But number two, those of us that are praying that God knows and focused on what God's doing, we're not going to be a distraction. So as we get ready to dismiss to church group devotions, we're going to do our dead level best. I need y'all still been doing this. To keep the focus on the invitation is still open. Okay? And I believe God's still speaking. And I believe that there's some people in this room that still need to make a decision tonight. So we're going to try to keep the distractions down as best we can. I know there's 500 of us, and I know that's hard. But we're going to keep the sharing our voice down as we walk out. We're going to keep the conversations down. We're going to quietly move to church group devotion because we don't want to take away from how God is speaking. Y'all give me a thumbs up if you understand. Very good. Very good. We're fixing to dismiss. What we're going to do is we're going to dismiss by churches, and we're going to have one of the staff members take you to where you're meeting to make this process a little bit easier, make it a little bit less confusing as we do this. Before we do this, I want to say a word of prayer. Again, I want us to remember that the Lord's still speaking, and we're not going to be a distraction. We're not going to disturb Him, and we're going to let Him continue to guide over the next few minutes. Okay? Let's pray. Father, I just thank you for giving us this opportunity to gather together. I thank you for the opportunity as the word has been spoken to us, as your word can come alive. God, I pray that as Billy has shared what you laid on his heart, God, that that's spoken to us. And God, that we're moved and we respond. And God, even tonight, if there's someone that needs to know you as their personal Savior, God, I pray right now that you give them the strength, give them the power, give them the courage to take that step, to go to one of their sponsors, go to one of the staff members and say, I need to make a decision, I need to get this right tonight. God, we just pray for that. Father, even those that need to respond and knowing that they have a relationship with the Lord, but they haven't been as close as they need to be. They haven't sought you. God, we pray tonight that we make this right. We pray for your strength and your guidance. In your precious name. Amen. Carrie, Arlen, You're going to follow Carrie, and you're going to exit to my left, and you're going to go to Tabernacle A, going out this door. Amanda. Banks. You're going to go out to my left, going to Tabernacle B, and Amanda's going to lead you there. Bluff Springs, you're going to go with Caitlin. You're going to exit to my right, go to the basketball court. Katie.